I live alone. No wife. No kids. No babysitter. But last night, my baby monitor turned on, and someone started singing a lullaby in the nursery. The weirdest part? The monitor was offline. It started on a Tuesday night. One of those silent, empty nights where the only sound in my apartment was the low hum of the refrigerator. I was halfway through some mindless YouTube video when I heard it. A soft, melodic hum coming from the baby monitor. That baby monitor hadn't been turned on in months. It sat on the dresser in the spare room, the one that used to be my daughter's before she moved out with her mom after the divorce. I kept it there out of habit, like a relic of a life that felt light years away. But tonight, the screen was on. The little green light flickered, and through the static, someone was singing. It wasn't a glitchy mechanical noise or background interference. It was a voice, low, gentle, feminine, the kind of voice that could calm a crying infant. I froze halfway to the door, my heart hammering so hard it drowned out the sound for a second. Then I heard the words, "Hush now, baby, don't you cry." That was it. The same old lullaby my ex-wife used to sing to our daughter, Emma. Except, it wasn't her voice, and no one should have known that song. I rushed into the nursery, the empty nursery. The crib was long gone.
Now imagine what happens next. But before that, smash that like button and hit subscribe, cause the craziest part is just getting started.
Replaced by a small desk and a few unopened boxes from when I moved back in after the split. The monitor sat there on the dresser, glowing softly. The screen showed nothing, just darkness, faint grainy static, and the occasional flicker of light, like someone was walking with a flashlight. I picked it up, checked the back. No cords, no batteries. It was unplugged, completely dead. That's when the singing stopped. For a moment, the apartment was painfully silent again. I could hear my own breath, short, uneven. My brain immediately tried to logic its way out of it. Maybe the neighbor's baby monitor signal crossed over. Maybe interference from a Bluetooth device, or my phone picking up some random frequency. Except my neighbors were a retired couple with no kids. I pressed the monitor's button. Nothing. The screen blinked, went black. I tried the app on my phone, the UFI baby cam. Device offline, it said. Has been for 36 days. So who the hell was singing? I walked through every room, flipping lights on, searching behind doors, in closets, even under the goddamn couch. Nothing. Just me, my shadow, and the faint smell of dust and coffee. I laughed, but it came out shaky, like my body wasn't sure if this was funny or horrifying. "Okay," I said aloud. "You're tired, man. Stress, caffeine, divorce brain, all that jazz." Then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. In the corner of the nursery, under the small desk, was a plush giraffe toy. Emma's old one. The one she called Mr. Spots. I could have sworn I packed it away months ago, but here it was, sitting upright, looking straight at the crib that wasn't there anymore. And the weirdest thing, the fur on its ears was wet, like someone had been holding it. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room with all the lights on, scrolling forums and subreddits, r or paranormal, r or tech support, even r or ask electronics, looking for someone, anyone, who'd had their baby monitor pick up phantom voices. Most people said it was signal interference. A few had creepier stories, voices calling out names, whispering things only the family knew. Still, I clung to the rational explanations. Until the next night. At exactly 2:07 a.m., the monitor lit up again. This time, I was ready. I hit record on my phone before even getting up. The screen glowed faintly, showing the same grainy image, an empty room. Static, faint streaks of light. Then the singing started again. "Go to sleep, little one." Same voice, same melody, but the timing was perfect, as if whoever was on the other side knew when I'd start listening. I walked closer to the dresser. The moment my shadow fell across the screen, the voice stopped. And right then, faint metallic sound crackled through the speaker. A bell, like a tram bell, but there are no trams in my neighborhood. When I checked the recording on my phone, I heard it clearly, the soft clang of a passing streetcar, followed by that same voice, whispering something under the hum. I boosted the audio, held my phone up to my ear. "Don't leave me again, I swear. The voice laughed right after that, a small, breathy giggle. I didn't finish the recording. I closed the app, unplugged the router, turned off my phone, and sat there in silence for hours, waiting for dawn. When the sun finally rose, I felt stupid, embarrassed, even like I'd fallen for some glitch horror YouTube bait. But when I walked past the nursery again, something inside me froze all over. The plush giraffe was gone, and on the window glass, faint, almost invisible in daylight, were 3 small handprints. Too small to be mine. The next morning, I convinced myself I dreamt the whole thing. Sleep deprivation does wild shit to your brain, right? But that logic didn't hold up when I checked my phone. The video was still there, time-stamped, recorded, real. The voice, the bell, the whisper, all of it. I played it again, sitting at the kitchen table with a mug of burnt coffee. The sound made my hands shake. That laugh at the end, it wasn't mechanical. It was human, warm, and familiar. That's when I decided to call Caleb, my next-door neighbor. He's one of those tech hobbyists who knows too much about everything that runs on Wi-Fi. He once turned his toaster into a Spotify speaker for science. If anyone could debunk this, it was him. When I told him what happened, he just stared for a second and said, "You're either haunted or hacked. Either way, I'm in." We spent the next 2 hours in the nursery. Caleb brought this tiny handheld spectrum analyzer, looked like a Game Boy mixed with a calculator. "If someone's transmitting a signal," he said, "we'll see it." He started scanning frequencies around 2.4 GHz, same range as Wi-Fi and baby monitors. The screen danced with colorful spikes. "Okay, you've got regular noise, Bluetooth devices, routers." He paused. "Wait. What's that?" A narrow band had popped up, pulsing every few seconds, like a heartbeat. "It's too clean for random interference," Caleb muttered. "And it's not your router." He turned his head. "Do you have another monitor somewhere?" "No," I said. "Just this one." "Then someone nearby is broadcasting." He switched his scanner into trace mode. The signal strength peaked toward the east wall, the one facing the neighboring apartment. "Bingo," he said. "Let's see who's singing lullabies at 2 a.m. We knocked on the neighbor's door, a middle-aged woman named Mrs. Dalton, retired teacher, always baking something. She looked surprised but polite. "Oh dear, no, I don't have any babies," she said with a laugh. "My husband snores enough." Caleb smiled awkwardly, mumbled something about network interference, and we left. But as we walked away, I swear I heard faint humming coming from inside. The same tune. "Back in my place," Caleb said. "Okay, this could still be a signal bounce. Sometimes these cheap monitors pick up open feeds from nearby devices." "Open feeds?" "Yeah, unsecured cameras, intercoms, even old cordless phones. They leak signals." That explanation sounded comforting until he added, "But dude, it shouldn't happen if your device is off." That night, I tried not to think about it. I poured myself a drink, put on some music, pretended life was normal. But by 2 a.m., I was sitting upright in bed, waiting. Nothing. 2:05. Still nothing. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. No caller ID, just the number. Oh, 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 oh. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" At first, silence. Then, that same lullaby. So faint, I almost thought it was inside my head. "Hush now, baby, don't you cry." "Who is this?" I shouted. "How are you doing this?" No reply. The call disconnected. I looked at the clock. 2:07 a.m. The exact same time as the night before. I rushed to the nursery. The monitor was glowing again, screen flickering between black and gray static. I swear I saw a faint shape in the frame, something like a small silhouette moving past the camera. Caleb came over within minutes when I called. By then, the screen was black again. He looked at me, half concerned, half fascinated. "You recorded this time?" "Yeah," I said, pulling up my phone. The file was there, time-stamped, but when I hit play, nothing. The video was pure white noise. Caleb frowned. "Could be packet corruption. Maybe someone spoofed the feed." He stopped mid-sentence. "Wait, your phone's connected to your home Wi-Fi?" "Yeah." He showed me his analyzer. "Look at this. At 2:07 a.m., foreign device connected to your network for exactly 14 seconds, then vanished. The device name, Baby Watch 02. Manufacturer? Unknown. We just stared at each other. Okay, he said slowly. This isn't ghost stuff. This is someone inside your system. Then why the singing? He shrugged. Maybe to mess with you. Or maybe it's not about you at all. When he left, I sat in the nursery again. The room felt colder than usual. I stared at the monitor, half expecting it to flicker back on. It didn't. But when I turned to leave, I saw something new. On the desk, the same one where the plush giraffe used to sit, there was a fresh handprint. Small, dusty, like someone had pressed their palm down moments ago. And beside it, a single piece of paper, folded twice, perfectly neat. Inside, written in shaky handwriting, were just 3 words. Don't ignore her. I stared at that note for what felt like forever. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, like someone had written it with trembling fingers. Not Emma's. Not mine. Don't ignore her. Who the hell was her? I looked around the nursery again. Every detail suddenly felt off. The crooked curtain rod. The faint outline of the old crib legs still visible in the carpet. Even the air felt heavier. The monitor sat on the dresser, black screen, silent. But somehow I knew it was watching me. I don't know what made me do it, but I whispered, "Who are you?" Nothing. Just that suffocating quiet. I tossed the note into a drawer and went to bed. Or tried to. The moment I closed my eyes, I heard it again. Faint humming, not from the monitor this time, but from the hallway. I sat up, every nerve in my body screaming no. But my legs moved anyway. The light from the living room stretched down the hall like a dim yellow finger. The humming grew louder, and then I saw her. A shape, small, like a child standing near the nursery door. I blinked, and she was gone. I ran to the door, threw it open. Empty. The air was ice cold, and in that stillness, I realized something impossible. The lullaby wasn't coming from the hallway, it was inside my head. It played perfectly clear, looping over and over. Emma's lullaby, but slowed down, off key. I pressed my palms to my ears, shouting, "Stop." The sound cut instantly, like someone obeyed. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I just sat there on the edge of my bed until sunrise, thinking about every possible rational explanation. Stress, sleep paralysis, PTSD from the divorce. But the next day at work, things got worse. I was typing up a report when my email pinged. Subject line: Emma's room, no sender, no address. Just those words. I clicked it open, and there was a single attachment. An audio file named Lullaby, MP3. My stomach dropped. I plugged in my headphones and hit play. The same voice. The same goddamn song. But now, at the end of the recording, after the last note faded, someone whispered, "She misses you, Daddy." My chair hit the floor when I stood up. My coworkers looked over, startled, but I couldn't speak. I just unplugged my laptop and left. At home, I called Caleb again. Told him everything. He didn't laugh this time. He just said quietly, "Dude, that's not a hack. Someone's inside your house." And then the line went dead. When I tried to call him back, his number was gone from my phone. Deleted. Completely. By the next morning, I reached a point where fear felt normal, like background noise. I hadn't heard from Caleb. His number really was gone, not blocked, not hidden, just erased. His apartment, dark and empty when I checked later, looked untouched. No signs he'd packed, no forwarding notice. It was like he'd never lived there at all. I told myself not to panic. I was hallucinating, maybe, but that didn't explain what I saw next. When I came back inside, my laptop was open, the same one I'd left shut on the table. The screen glowed softly, and in the middle of a blank document, one sentence had been typed. "Don't forget her birthday." Emma's birthday was in 2 days. I froze. The cursor blinked at the end of the sentence, as if someone was waiting for me to respond. I reached forward and shut the lid gently, like closing a casket. I didn't tell anyone who would believe it. Instead, I spent the day cleaning, trying to feel normal again. But every few hours, I'd catch a whisper, a soft hum from the nursery, a giggle from the hallway, the faint sound of a door creaking, even though mine were all shut. By evening, I'd convinced myself it was just grief. Maybe I'd never really processed the divorce. Maybe I missed Emma more than I realized. But then, around 8:30 p.m., the lights flickered. All of them. The whole apartment for less than a second. And when they came back on, every screen in my place was glowing white. My TV, my phone, my computer, even the damn baby monitor. The same image on each one. A still shot of the nursery. Except in this version, the crib was back, and someone was standing beside it. I walked toward the monitor, step by step, until my reflection filled the screen. My voice came out quiet. "Who are you?" The screen glitched static for a second, then a face appeared. A woman's face. Pale, soft, lips trembling. She looked so much like my ex-wife, but younger. Impossibly younger, like she was frozen in time. Her eyes flicked up, like she could see me through the lens. And then she whispered something I'll never forget. "She's waiting for you." The image vanished. Every device in my home went black. And from the other room, faint but clear, came that same lullaby again. This time sung by two voices. One high and innocent, the other low and broken. I didn't go into the nursery. Not that night. Not after that. But when I woke up the next morning, my phone was on my chest. The wallpaper had changed. It was a photo of the three of us. Me, my ex-wife, and Emma. Except Emma was older, around the age she'd be now. And I swear to God she was smiling directly at me. By the fifth night, I'd stopped pretending this was in my head. Whatever this was, it knew me. It knew Emma. It knew our past. It knew things no hacker or prankster ever could. I unplugged the router, turned off every electronic in the apartment, even pulled the batteries out of my smoke alarm. The baby monitor was the last thing left. It sat there on the dresser, black and silent, like it was waiting for permission. So I gave it one. "Go ahead," I whispered. "Show me what you want." Nothing. For a few seconds, the silence was thick enough to choke on. Then the monitor clicked. The screen didn't turn on, it breathed, like static inhaling and exhaling. A moment later, an image faded in. The nursery again, but not mine. Older wallpaper, floral, wooden crib, rocking chair in the corner. Everything slightly washed out, like a memory. And there, sitting in the chair, was Emma. At least, I thought it was Emma. She was older now, just like the photo on my phone. But something in her eyes, they weren't right. Too calm, too steady, like she'd been waiting. "Emma," I said, barely able to speak. She tilted her head and smiled. Then, in perfect sync, my phone on the table lit up. Same image. Live feed. "Daddy," she said softly. "You didn't listen." My chest tightened. "Emma, what are you talking about?" Behind her, the rocking chair began to move on its own. The lullaby started again, but this time, the melody glitched, bending like broken tape. "She's lonely now. Come and play." The voice wasn't Emma's anymore. It wasn't anyone's. It sounded like several voices layered together, echoing through the speaker, coming from somewhere far beyond the static. And then, through the noise, I noticed something impossible. In the video feed, Emma's room wasn't reflecting light from my apartment, it was reflecting light from outside. Daylight. I realized the feed was coming from somewhere else. I grabbed the monitor, flipped it over. A serial code I'd never seen before. Chem 13 Plantry. I typed it into Google, hands shaking. Nothing. Then I searched Plantry and froze. It was a suburb, Plantry, Oregon. 3 hours away. I don't know what took over me. Fear, guilt, or just a need for answers. But within minutes, I was in my car, driving into the night. The monitor sat in the passenger seat, screen dark again, but warm to the touch. Halfway there, it lit up. Emma's voice whispered through the static, softer than ever. "Hurry, Daddy." And just for a split second in the corner of the screen, I saw a shape move behind her. Something tall and smiling. The town looked dead. No lights, no people. No movement, just endless rows of identical houses swallowed by fog. My GPS blinked out as soon as I crossed the welcome sign. Plantry, Oregon, a quiet place to grow. Yeah, no shit. Too quiet. The monitor in the passenger seat started to flicker again. I glanced down and my blood ran cold. It was showing my car from somewhere outside. A wide shot, as if another camera was watching me. I slammed the brakes. The screen glitched, and Emma's voice came through again. Soft, but echoing like it was coming from a tunnel. "You're close, Daddy. Where are you?" I shouted, scanning the road. Nothing but fog. The monitor flashed again, and an address appeared across the top of the screen. 214 Grove Street. I drove there. Couldn't tell you why. Logic was long gone. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the keys when I parked. The house looked abandoned. Boards on the windows, roof half collapsed. But one window upstairs glowed faintly yellow. Inside, the air was thick with dust and mold. I called out Emma's name once, then again. Nothing. Then the lullaby started. Not from the monitor this time, from upstairs. Hush now, baby, don't you cry. My knees nearly gave out. It was the same voice, the same rhythm. I climbed the stairs, each creak louder than the last, until I reached the room with the light. It was a nursery, old, but almost identical to mine. The same wallpaper pattern, the same crib, even the same damn plush giraffe sitting in the corner. And in the middle of the floor, the baby monitor. Mine, the exact one from my apartment, except mine was still in my car. The lullaby grew louder, until I realized it wasn't coming from any speaker. It was coming from the crib. I stepped closer. My heart was hammering so hard, I thought it might break through my chest. The blanket in the crib moved slightly, like something was breathing underneath. I reached out, and the blanket collapsed flat, empty. Then every device in the room turned on at once. Monitors, old TVs, baby cams stacked on shelves. They all showed the same image. Me, standing in the room, and behind me a tall figure, looming. Its face was blurred, stretched, like the static itself had taken form. And before I could turn around, it spoke in that same calm, layered voice. You listen, Daddy. Now stay. I spun around and the room was empty. But the crib wasn't anymore. Something small was sitting upright inside it, holding the giraffe toy. It looked up at me and smiled. Good night, Daddy. The lights went out.